I gave a starving old man a free bowl of noodles, never knowing he was the grandfather of the man whose children my sister had stolen from me 7 years ago. My name is Arya Chen, 28 years old, noodle stand owner, single mother. And until 3 weeks ago, I believed my daughter Mina was my only child. The morning was quiet when I saw him, thin, hunched, wearing an oversized jacket. He stared at my stand like he wasn't allowed to hope. "Come," I called. "You hungry?" His eyes flickered. "I have nothing." "Then this one's free." He sat slowly, movements careful. I placed a steaming bowl before him, rich broth, hand-pulled noodles, soft egg, extra chili oil. "Thank you," he whispered like kindness was foreign. My 6-year-old daughter Mina peeked out. "Mama, who's that?" "Someone who needed warmth, baby." I didn't know that man had built an empire. Didn't know my sister had orchestrated the destruction of my life. Didn't know I had 3 more children, 3 sons the same age as Mina, hidden somewhere in the world. But that bowl of noodles? That changed everything. 7 years ago, my life was different. I was 21, working as a lab technician at a biotech company. I had a small apartment my grandmother left me, modest savings and plans for the future. Then one night at a company event, everything changed. I'd had one drink, just one, but the world went fuzzy. I woke up the next morning in a hotel room with no memory of how I got there. I was terrified, confused. I went to the hospital, but they found nothing concrete. No evidence of what happened. Just missing hours I couldn't account for. 3 months later, I discovered I was pregnant. I was devastated. I didn't know who the father was. Didn't know what had happened that night. I considered every option, but ultimately decided to keep the baby. My sister Tessa was there for me. She worked in hospital administration and seemed genuinely supportive. "You're strong," she'd say. "We'll figure this out together." Then she introduced me to Damon. He was charming, understanding. He said he didn't care about the circumstances, that he'd fallen for me and wanted to help raise the baby. I was vulnerable and grateful. When he proposed after 2 months, I said yes. We married quickly in a courthouse. I signed papers he said were standard marriage documents. I trusted him completely. That was my first mistake. The marriage lasted 6 months. During that time, Damon slowly took control of everything. He convinced me to add his name to my bank accounts. Married couples share everything. He had me sign documents transferring the apartment deed to both our names, for legal protection. I was heavily pregnant, exhausted, and trusted my husband. I signed everything he put in front of me. Then, when I was 8 months pregnant, he disappeared. I came home to find half the furniture gone. Bank accounts empty. The apartment had been sold. My name removed from all documents. My savings, my inheritance, my home, everything was gone. I tried calling him. Disconnected. I went to the police. They said he'd left the country, and without clear evidence of fraud, there was little they could do. I was 8 months pregnant, homeless, and broke. Tessa helped me find a shelter. Brought me food. Seemed devastated by what Damon had done. "I can't believe he'd do this to you," she'd cried. "After everything." I went into labor 3 weeks later. The stress and malnutrition triggered early delivery. I was alone, terrified. Barely made it to the hospital before collapsing. When I woke up days later, they handed me one baby. A girl. Mina. "The others didn't survive," a nurse said quietly. "I'm sorry. The others?" I'd been carrying multiples. They told me I'd lost 3 babies due to complications from stress and malnutrition. I held Mina and cried for the children I'd never meet. Except that was a lie. They'd survived. They'd been stolen. I rebuilt my life around Mina. Found cheap housing through a women's shelter program. Started a small noodle stand using borrowed money and my grandmother's recipes. Worked 16-hour days to survive. Tessa visited occasionally. Always brought expensive gifts for Mina. Always seemed concerned about my struggles. "You're doing so well," she'd say. "I'm proud of you." What I didn't know was that everything, the drugging, the pregnancy, the marriage to Damon, my stolen assets, had been orchestrated by her. I discovered the truth 3 weeks ago by accident. A woman approached my noodle stand late one evening. She was drunk, crying. Former hospital worker who'd been fired years ago. "I should have spoken up," she slurred. "About what they did." The babies they said died but actually gave away. My blood froze. What did you say? She looked at me closely. Her face went pale. Oh God. You're her. The mother. Tell me everything. Right now. Her name was Ayumi. Through tears and guilt, she told me a story that shattered my world. You delivered quadruplets, Ayumi said. For healthy babies. 2 boys and 2 girls. But you'd passed out from exhaustion. My hands shook. What happened? Your sister came with forged documents. She claimed you'd agreed to give up 3 babies for adoption due to inability to care for them. She had paperwork, a lawyer, everything looked official. I never signed anything like that. I know. Some of us questioned it, but your sister worked in hospital administration. She knew exactly who to bribe, who to intimidate. 2 nurses who refused to cooperate were fired the next day. Where did the babies go? Private adoption. Sealed records. Your sister arranged everything. By the time anyone realized the paperwork was fraudulent, the adoption was finalized and most evidence had been destroyed. Why would she do this? Ayumi hesitated. I overheard her on the phone once. She was talking about bloodlines, making sure someone important was connected to the children. It didn't make sense then, but... She looked at me. Who was the father? I don't know. I was drugged at a company event. I never knew what happened that night. Your sister was at that event. I remember because she signed you out of the hospital the next morning, when you went for examination. Everything clicked into place. Tessa had drugged me. Had orchestrated everything from the beginning. But why? What was she planning? Ayumi gave me what documentation she'd kept. Partial records, dates, the name of the adoption agency. It wasn't much, but it was something. I used every penny I could spare to hire a private investigator. The trail was deliberately obscured. But eventually we found something. The 3 babies had been adopted by a single family. A wealthy man who'd paid extraordinary fees for a private adoption of 3 premature infants from a mother in crisis. The adoptive father's name was Vincent Aragon, my investigator said. He died 2 years ago. The children are being raised by his father, Marcus Aragon. And his son Riker Aragon has legal guardianship. My heart stopped. Aragon? As in Aragon Fashion Group. Yes. The CEO, Riker Aragon, is one of the wealthiest men in the country. I stared at the file. My children had been raised by billionaires. Why? What was Tessa's endgame? There's something else, the investigator said. Riker Aragon was at the same company event where you were drugged 7 years ago. He left early that night due to feeling ill. The next morning, he woke up in a hotel with no memory of the previous evening. The room spun. He was drugged too. It appears so. Your sister worked for the event planning company that organized that party. She had access to everything. I understood now. Tessa had drugged both of us. Had orchestrated a pregnancy with Riker Aragon, one of the city's most eligible bachelors. Then she'd hidden my children with his family, creating a biological connection she could exploit later. The children, I said urgently. Where are they now? They live with Marcus Aragon, Riker's grandfather. They're 6 years old. Healthy. Well cared for. He paused. But there's something interesting. They recently started asking questions about their birth parents. Marcus has been looking into their adoption records. I didn't know how to approach this. I couldn't just show up and claim my children. They didn't know me. They'd been raised by another family. So I focused on my noodle stand and tried to figure out my next move. That's when the old man appeared. He came every morning for a week. Quiet, frail, grateful. We'd talk while he ate. I'd tell him about Mina, about working hard, about believing kindness mattered. You have a good heart, he'd say. The world needs more of that. One morning Mina asked his name. He smiled gently. You can call me grandfather. I like that better than my real name. I didn't push. He seemed lonely, and if pretending to be our grandfather brought him comfort, that was fine. One day he left his wallet behind. Inside was an ID, Marcus Aragon. My hands shook. The man I'd been feeding was Riker Aragon's grandfather, the man raising my stolen children. When he came the next day, I handed him the wallet silently. He looked at it, then at me. You know. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted to see if kindness still existed in the world. If someone would help an old man without knowing his bank balance. He paused. You did. Every day. You and your daughter. I need to tell you something, I said. About 3 children you're raising. I think they're mine. His expression sharpened. Explain. So I told him everything. About being drugged. About the pregnancy. About the hospital and Tessa's scheme. About discovering my children had been adopted by his son. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time. The adoption, he said finally. We were told the mother was in crisis. That she'd agreed to give up the children. Vincent wanted to help. It was all lies. Forged documents. And you think someone drugged both you and my grandson? Created this pregnancy deliberately. I have evidence. Not enough for court yet, but enough to prove the adoption was fraudulent. He stood slowly. Tomorrow. Bring everything. We'll do DNA tests. If those children are yours, if someone orchestrated this. His voice hardened. Then we'll find out who and why. Together. The next morning, a black car arrived at my noodle stand. A man stepped out, tall, sharply dressed, eyes cold as winter. Riker Aragon. My grandfather says you have information about my wards. About a fraudulent adoption. I handed him the folder. Medical records. DNA evidence linking me to the pregnancy. Hospital testimony. Documentation of Tessa's involvement. He read everything in silence. His jaw tightened. These 3 children have been asking about their birth mother. We've been trying to trace the adoption records, but they've been deliberately obscured. My sister orchestrated it. She stole my children and placed them with your family specifically. Why? I don't know yet. But I think she was planning something long-term. Some way to use the connection for her benefit. He studied me. You were at the Meridian Tech event 7 years ago. The night I was drugged. So were you. I think we were both victims of the same scheme. And you believe the children are biologically mine? I'm certain. But I need DNA tests to prove it. He pulled out his phone. Within minutes, he'd arranged for immediate testing through a private medical facility. We'll know within 24 hours. As he turned to leave, I stopped him. I'm not trying to take them from you. I just want to know the truth. And I want whoever did this to face consequences. Something flickered in his cold expression. If what you're saying is true, consequences are inevitable. I protect what's mine. The DNA tests were processed overnight. Riker called me to his office the next morning. The results are conclusive. You're the biological mother. I'm the biological father. He pushed the papers across his desk. Someone drugged us, created this pregnancy, stole the children, and manipulated the adoption system. My sister. We need to prove it. And we need to figure out her endgame before she makes her next move. What do you mean next move? Your sister has applied for a position at my company 3 times in the past year. Each time using a different angle: charity liaison, event coordinator, family services consultant. She's trying to get close to me. She's positioning herself. Once she reveals the truth about the children, she'll try to insert herself as the connection between us. Family mediator. Someone who helped place the children with a good home and leverage that into access to wealth and influence. He leaned back. She underestimated one thing. I don't negotiate with people who harm children. What do? First, we tell the children the truth. Carefully. They deserve to know. He paused. Then we build an airtight case against your sister. And when we have everything, we destroy her publicly. I don't want revenge. I want my children safe and justice served. Those aren't mutually exclusive. His expression softened slightly. Arya, I've been raising these children for 2 years since my father died. I love them. They're my family. But you're their mother. We need to figure out how to move forward together. For the first time, I felt hope. Not just for justice, but for the possibility of a real family. Riker arranged a meeting at his home. Neutral territory where the children felt safe. Marcus would be there too, providing stability. I brought Mina. You might meet your brothers and sister today, I told her. Her eyes went wide. Really? Really? But this is complicated, baby. They don't know us yet. We have to be patient. When we arrived, the house was beautiful but not ostentatious. clearly designed for children, toys, books, colorful artwork on the walls. 3 6-year-olds emerged curiously. 2 boys and a girl. They looked like Mina. Like me. Like Riker. Children, Marcus said gently. This is Arya and her daughter Mina. They're going to spend some time with us today. The oldest boy, serious, watchful, studied me intently. You look familiar. I do. He ran to get something from another room. Returned with a worn photograph. Grandpa Marcus gave us this. Said it was found with our adoption papers. Is this you? I took the photo with shaking hands. It was me 7 years ago, pregnant and smiling. A candid shot someone had taken at work. Yes, I whispered. That's me. The 3 children looked at the photo. Then at me. Then at Mina, who they clearly resembled. Are you our birth mother? The girl asked quietly. I knelt down to their level. Yes, I am. And this is Mina. She's your sister. You're quadruplets. The revelation didn't go smoothly. The oldest boy, Kai, backed away. You gave us away. You didn't want us. No, baby. I was told you died. Someone lied to me. Someone stole you while I was sick and told me you didn't survive. The girl Luna started crying. Why would someone do that? Because they were cruel. And they wanted to hurt me. I looked at Riker. And your father. The youngest boy, Felix, looked confused. Mr. Riker is our father? Riker knelt beside me. Yes. But I didn't know about you until recently. Someone did bad things to both of us. We're still figuring everything out. Mina, bless her brave heart, walked up to her siblings. I didn't know about you either. But I always felt like something was missing. Like I should have more family. She smiled. Now I do. That simple statement from a 6-year-old broke the tension. Children understand truth more easily than adults sometimes. Over the next few hours we didn't force anything. We just existed together. The children played while we adults watched. Gradually they warmed up. Asked questions. Started testing boundaries. By the time we left, Kai had shown me his drawings. Luna had told me about her favorite books. Felix had climbed into my lap and fallen asleep. Can we see you again? Luna asked. As often as you want, I promised. Over the next 2 weeks we established a routine. I'd visit daily. Mina would play with her siblings. Slowly, carefully we built trust. Riker and I also spent time together, figuring out how to co-parent children who'd been stolen from us. It was awkward at first. We were strangers brought together by crime and biology. But gradually we found common ground. We both loved these children fiercely. Both wanted them happy and whole. Both were willing to put their needs first. I need to tell you something, Riker said one evening after the children were asleep. About the night we were drugged. I waited. I've been investigating. My security team found footage from that event. Your sister was there, working as event coordinator. She's on camera tampering with drinks. Mine and yours. So it's provable. Yes. She drugged us, arranged for us to be in the same hotel, and somehow ensured pregnancy occurred. The medical records show you were brought to a specific hospital, one where she had access and influence. She planned everything. But why? What's her end game? We didn't have to wait long to find out. That night, I received a message from an unknown number. I know you found the children. We need to talk. Meet me tomorrow or I'll go public with a very different version of this story. Tessa was making her move. I showed Riker the message. His expression went cold. She's trying to get ahead of exposure. Create a narrative where she's the hero who helped place children with a good family. What do? We meet her. But on our terms. He made several calls. I'm having the meeting recorded and witnessed. Whatever she says, we'll have proof. The next morning we met Tessa at a cafe. She looked polished, confident. Smiled when she saw me. Arya. It's been too long. Not long enough. I sat across from her. Why did you do it? Do what? Drug me. Drug Riker. Steal our children. Orchestrate 7 years of lies. She laughed. You always were dramatic. I helped you. You were pregnant and helpless. I made sure your children went to a good home instead of foster care. By forging documents and stealing them from me. You couldn't care for 4 babies. Be realistic. Riker leaned forward. Ms. Valmont, we have evidence you drugged us both, created this pregnancy deliberately, and committed adoption fraud. What we don't understand is why. Tessa's smile faltered. You can't prove any of that. We have security footage, medical records, hospital testimony, financial transactions showing payments to corrupt staff. He slid a folder across the table. We have everything. Her mask cracked. Fine. You want the truth? I was tired of watching Arya get everything. Our parents left her the inheritance. She had the apartment, the comfortable life. I had nothing. So you destroyed my life? I created an opportunity. You got pregnant by one of the richest men in the city. Those children were my ticket to wealth. I placed them with the Aragon family, planning to reveal the truth when the time was right. Become the aunt who reunited everyone. Position myself as family. And Damon? The marriage. I paid him to marry you and steal your assets. Those were supposed to come to me. But the idiot took the money and ran. Kept everything for himself. She laughed bitterly. Even my own cousin betrayed me. So you left me with nothing. You still had one child. That was more than generous. Riker pressed a button on his phone. This entire conversation has been recorded and transmitted to my legal team. Police are on their way. Tessa's face went white, then red. You can't do this. Those children have been with your family for years. The adoption is legal. The adoption is based on fraud. You forged consent, bribed officials, trafficked children. His voice was ice. You're finished. I gave them a good life. They're happy, healthy, wealthy. You stole them, I said quietly. You destroyed their mother and erased their father. You trafficked 4 children for personal gain. There's no justification. Police entered the cafe. Tessa tried to run, but they stopped her quickly. Tessa Valmont, you're under arrest for fraud, child trafficking, assault, forgery, and conspiracy. As they handcuffed her, she screamed at me. You were supposed to have nothing. I deserved everything. You always got what should have been mine. I never took anything from you, I replied. You destroyed yourself. They led her away. Other customers stared. Some filmed on their phones. By evening, the story would be everywhere. But I didn't care about public vindication. I cared about going home to my children, all 4 of them, and building the family Tessa had tried to prevent. The trial moved quickly. Evidence was overwhelming. Tessa tried claiming she'd acted in the children's best interest, but prosecutors demolished that defense. You drugged 2 people, created a pregnancy through assault, stole 4 infants, trafficked them for personal gain, and destroyed their mother's life. Where exactly was the children's best interest in that? She had no answer. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. At sentencing, the judge was harsh. You treated human beings as commodities, destroyed families for profit, show no genuine remorse. You represent a danger to society and especially to children. 25 years in federal prison. No parole. Tessa's face crumpled. As they led her away, she looked at me one last time. I hope you're happy. I'm not happy, but my children are safe. That's enough. Outside the courthouse, media swarmed. Riker's PR team had prepared a statement, but I wanted to speak myself. Justice has been served. My children are home. We're focused now on healing and building our family. That's all that matters. Reporters shouted questions about Riker and our relationship. We ignored them. That was private. What mattered was the 4 6-year-olds waiting at home with Marcus, probably making a mess in the kitchen while attempting to bake cookies. Our children. Together. Finally, the months after the trial were healing. The children adjusted to having me in their lives. It wasn't seamless. Kai struggled with trust, Luna had nightmares, Felix became clingy. But we worked through it with therapy and patience. Mina was the glue holding them together. She'd spent her whole life feeling like something was missing. Now she had her siblings and she loved them fiercely. Riker and I navigated co-parenting carefully. We lived separately at first. He had his home, I had my small apartment above the noodle stand. The children split time between us. But gradually, spending time together became natural. Family dinners, bedtime routines, weekend activities. We were building something neither of us had planned but both of us needed. One evening, after the children were asleep, Riker and I sat on his patio talking. I never wanted children, he admitted. Thought I was too focused on business. Too cold. Then my father adopted them and suddenly I was guardian. I had no idea what I was doing. You did fine. They love you. But I was raising them alone. Missing the balance of having a partner. He looked at me. You've changed that. Not just for them. For me. Riker. I'm not asking for anything. Just acknowledging that this us navigating parenthood together. It's good. Better than I expected. I smiled. It is good. Complicated and messy but good. Can I ask you something personal? Sure. Do you resent me? For what happened that night? Even though I was drugged too. I thought carefully. No. We were both victims. Both had our choices stolen. Resenting you would be like resenting myself. But we have 4 children from assault. That's traumatic. It is. But they exist. And they're beautiful and perfect. I can hate what happened while loving what came from it. He nodded slowly. That's wisdom I haven't achieved yet. Give yourself time. We're both healing. 6 months after the trial we made a decision. Instead of maintaining 2 households, we'd combine into one. Not as a romantic couple, we weren't there yet, but as co-parents committed to raising our children together. Riker bought a house large enough for everyone. Separate wings for privacy, shared spaces for family time. The children were thrilled. We're all together now, Luna said happily. Like a real family. You were always a real family, I corrected gently. This just makes it easier. Marcus moved in too, delighted to have his great-grandchildren close. He and I would cook together while the children did homework. He'd tell stories about Riker as a child, making the kids laugh. He was serious even then, Marcus said. Always focused. Always responsible. Never let himself just be young. I'm trying to change that, I replied, watching Riker get tackled by 4 6-year-olds during an indoor soccer match. You're succeeding. Life settled into routine. School runs. Birthday parties. Homework battles. The mundane chaos of raising 4 6-year-olds. Riker adjusted his work schedule to be more present. I expanded the Noodles stand to 3 locations, creating stability. We built something together without labeling what it was. Then one night, after putting the children to bed, we ended up in the kitchen making tea. Thank you, Riker said quietly. For what? For forgiving me. For trusting me with our children. For building this with me even though I gave you every reason to hate me. You didn't do anything wrong. I existed. That's enough for some people to hate. I touched his hand. I don't hate you. I think I might actually. I stopped uncertain. Might actually what? Like you. Genuinely. As more than just co-parent. His expression softened. I know I like you. Have for months. Just didn't know if I was allowed to feel that. Why wouldn't you be allowed? Because our relationship started with trauma. How do you build something healthy from that foundation? The same way you build anything. One choice at a time. One good day at a time. He smiled, genuinely smiled, and something shifted between us. We took things slowly. Didn't rush into labels or grand gestures. Just spent time together. Got to know each other as people, not just parents. I learned Riker was funny when he relaxed. That he loved terrible action movies and could quote them verbatim. That he was terrified of disappointing his children but desperate to make them proud. He learned I sang while cooking. That I cried during commercials about family reunions. That I'd spent 7 years believing I'd failed my children and still carried that guilt. You didn't fail them, he said one night. You were a victim. There's a difference. But I should have known. Should have questioned. How? You were 21, drugged, pregnant, and abandoned. You survived. That's not failure. That's strength. 3 months after moving in together, he asked me on an actual date. Not as co-parents. As adults who like each other. I laughed. Are you asking me out? Terribly, apparently. Is it working? Yes. We arranged a sitter, Marcus happily volunteered, and went to dinner. Talked about things unrelated to children. Discovered we had similar tastes in books. similar senses of humor, similar values about what mattered in life. At the end of the night, standing on the porch, he kissed me carefully. "Is this okay?" he asked. "More than okay." When we came home, Marcus was grinning. "About time you two figured it out." The children, peeking from the stairs, giggled. "Were you all conspiring?" I asked. "Yes," Mina announced. "You're both too slow. We decided weeks ago you should be together." Sometimes children see truth before adults do. A year after Tessa's imprisonment, our family had solidified into something beautiful. Riker and I weren't just co-parents anymore. We were partners, building a life together intentionally. The children thrived. Kai opened up, his trust issues healing. Luna's nightmares faded. Felix became less clingy and more independent. Mina remained their anchor, the child who'd always believed in family. We enrolled them in school together. They had different classrooms but shared recess and lunch. Other parents would comment on how close they were, how they looked out for each other. "Are they quadruplets?" someone asked once. "Yes," I replied proudly. "They are." No more hiding. No more shame. Just truth. Riker proposed on an ordinary Tuesday. No grand gesture. Just the two of us in the kitchen after the children were asleep. "I love you," he said simply. "I love the family we've built. I want to make it official. Will you marry me?" "Are you sure?" "After everything." "I'm certain. You're the best thing that's come from the worst circumstances. I don't want to waste more time." "Then yes." The wedding was small. Family and close friends in the garden where Marcus had first come looking for kindness. The children stood with us, all four of them as part of the ceremony. The officiant said, "This family was forged through hardship, but they've chosen to build something beautiful. That's love. Real love." When we kissed, our children cheered. Marcus cried happy tears. And for the first time in 7 years, I felt completely whole. 2 years after Tessa's trial, I received a letter from prison. I debated not opening it. Riker said it was my choice. "You don't owe her anything. Not even acknowledgement." But curiosity won. I opened it. The letter was different than I expected. No excuses. No justifications. Just raw acknowledgement. "I destroyed your life because I couldn't stand that you were happy with so little while I needed so much. I wanted wealth and status. You had love and contentment. That drove me insane. I'm sorry. Not because it will change anything, but because after 2 years in here, I finally understand what I destroyed. You weren't my enemy. My own greed was. I hope you and the children have the life I tried to prevent." I read it twice. Felt nothing dramatic. Just acknowledgement that she'd finally understood the consequences of her choices. I didn't write back. There was nothing to say. But I kept the letter. As a reminder that some people learn too late. Life continued. The children grew. Started new schools. Made friends. Developed interests. Kai loved art. Luna excelled at math. Felix was musical. Mina was naturally athletic. We supported all of it. Ballet recitals. Soccer games. School plays. Art shows. The beautiful chaos of raising 4 active children. Riker gradually stepped back from running his company day to day. Hired excellent leadership while remaining involved strategically. He wanted to be present for our family. I expanded my noodle business carefully. Not to become wealthy, but to create stability and employment for others. Each location had the same philosophy. Quality food, affordable prices, dignified work. We employed people who needed second chances. Single parents. Former inmates. People who'd been overlooked by others. Because we knew what it felt like to be underestimated. Marcus remained healthy and active. He'd play with the children, tell stories, teach them about integrity and kindness. They adored him. "I walked away from everything searching for meaning," he told me once. "Found it at your noodle stand. Best decision I ever made." "We're glad you did. So am I. This family, you created something rare. Something money can't buy." The children turned 10. We threw a combined birthday party in the park. Friends, family, neighbors. Everyone who'd been part of our journey. Ayumi came, the nurse who'd first told me the truth. She'd become an advocate for adoption reform, using her guilt to create positive change. "You saved them," she said, watching the children play. We saved each other, I corrected. The private investigator who'd helped me find them attended with his family. Best case I ever worked. Usually I find heartbreak. This time I found hope. Even some of Riker's business associates came. People who'd watched him transform from cold CEO to devoted father. You changed him, one said. Made him human. As the party wound down, Riker and I sat watching our children. They were laughing with friends, covered in cake, completely happy. Do you ever wonder what life would be like if Tessa had succeeded? He asked. Sometimes. But then I look at this and realize we wouldn't have it. We wouldn't have us. Strange to be grateful for trauma. Not grateful for the trauma. Grateful for how we respond to it. For choosing to build instead of break. He took my hand. I love you. I love you too. Simple words. But they contained multitudes. The children started asking questions as they got older. About Tessa. About what happened. About why their family story was complicated. We told them the truth, age appropriately. That sometimes people make terrible choices. That they'd been stolen as babies but were found again. That love and persistence won. Are you angry at Aunt Tessa? Luna asked once. I said honestly. But anger takes energy. I chose to put that energy into loving you instead. Will we ever see her? That's your choice when you're older. Right now, she's in prison for what she did. If someday you want to meet her, we'll support that. But you don't have to. Kai, always the thinker, asked the hardest question. Was it wrong that we're born from something bad? Riker answered that one. You weren't born from something bad. You were born despite it. Your mother and I didn't choose what happened to us. But we choose you. Every day. You're not products of assault. You're miracles of survival. That seemed to satisfy them. Children need truth and love. We gave both. As our children approached their teenage years, we reflected on the journey. From trauma to healing. From strangers to family. From broken pieces to a beautiful whole. The noodle business had grown to 10 locations. Each one employed people who needed opportunity. Each one served affordable, quality food. Each one represented the philosophy that kindness matters. Riker's company thrived under new leadership while he focused on philanthropy. He created a foundation supporting victims of assault and families affected by adoption fraud. Turned his pain into purpose. Marcus remained our anchor. He was aging now, slower but still sharp. Still telling stories. Still reminding us what mattered. I gave that old man noodles, I said one evening, sitting beside Marcus on the porch. And he gave you family, Marcus replied. Fair trade. The best trade. He chuckled. You know what I love about this story? It didn't require grand gestures. Just simple kindness. You fed a hungry stranger. That changed everything. Sometimes the small choices matter most. Always. The small choices are the ones that reveal character. Last month, a documentary crew wanted to film our story. The family built on one bowl of noodles, they called it. We agreed but insisted on honesty. No dramatization. No exploitation. Just truth. They filmed us cooking together. The children doing homework. Family dinners. Ordinary life. The interviewer asked, "What's the lesson here? What should people take from your story?" I thought carefully. That kindness creates ripples you can't predict. I fed a hungry man. He turned out to be connected to my stolen children. That act of compassion brought my entire family back to me. Riker added, and that trauma doesn't define you. We were both victims of assault. But we chose to build something beautiful instead of staying broken. That's power. What about Tessa? Do you forgive her? I don't carry hatred, I said. But forgiveness is complicated. She's serving consequences. My energy goes to my family, not to her. The documentary ended with footage of us serving food at the noodle stand. Regular customers. Strangers. People from every background sharing space and noodles. The producer asked one final question. If you could go back 7 years, would you change anything? I looked at Riker. At our children. At the life we built from ashes. I can't wish away what happened without wishing away them. So no. I wouldn't change it. I'd just tell my younger self to hold on. That pain ends. That family finds you. That one bowl of noodles changes everything. Because that's truth. Tessa tried to destroy us. Instead, she inadvertently brought us together. Her cruelty revealed Riker's strength. Her betrayal led to our reunion. Her choices created consequences that healed us. That's karma. Not lightning bolts or cosmic revenge. Just accumulated choices creating inevitable outcomes. She chose cruelty. We chose kindness. She got prison. We got family. And it all started here. With a hungry old man. A free bowl of noodles. And the ripple effects of simple compassion. Some people build empires on wealth. We built ours on warmth. And in the end, that made all the difference. As I serve noodles to a young mother struggling with her own children, I smile. She reminds me of myself, tired, overwhelmed, trying so hard. This one's on me, I tell her. Her eyes well with tears. Why? Because someone showed me kindness once. Changed my entire life. I'm just passing it forward. She nods gratefully. And I know she will too. Because kindness is contagious. It spreads person to person, bowl to bowl, heart to heart. And it all started here. With one bowl of noodles.